Okay, so now we'll mention two bars that were actually very important to the history of New York. Standing behind me once stood Stadhuis. It was the original city hall of this city when it was run by the Dutch. Now you're probably wondering why I said we're talking about bars, but now we're talking about city halls. Well, to the Dutch, they were one and the same. They did indeed run the city out of a tavern. In fact, they didn't actually have official town meetings for the first 40 years. They ran it very much as a business. They didn't have legislatures. They were a company. They were the Dutch West Indies Company, trading tobacco, fur, slaves, and other goods. Also, so this progressed, but this somewhat hurt. This somewhat hurt them as a town. They were a very profitable business, but they were not a well-run government. It wasn't until Peter Stuyvesant came in 1647 that things started to turn around. Now, he was a hardliner. He actually lost his leg to a cannonball in Curacao in the Caribbean, fighting against the Spanish. But Stuyvesant came here, one leg and all. He had a wooden leg also, and he started to lay down the law. This didn't exactly go well with the Dutch because the Dutch were very into the profit of this land. They thought whatever's good for business is good for this city. Stuyvesant didn't think as much. He was not big on religious tolerance. He wanted Jews out, and eventually things started to turn around because of his kind of hardlining, strict governing style. This all turned around in time for the British to take over in 1664. A number of wars went by, and eventually the Dutch gave up, said, okay, you can have New York, but you need to give us Suriname, which was one of their colonies in South America. Now, if you know anything about Suriname, you're probably lying, because not many people do. Today, Suriname is a country in South America, just north of Brazil, and it has a GDP of $3.7 billion. Now, remember I said New York's GDP was $1.27 trillion. Also, Suriname's population, 350,000. So I think the British got the better of the deal, but at least the Dutch got something out of it. Again, they're not a very warring nation. They were just in it as a business. So that's Stadhuis behind me. Over on the corner down there, the brick building, that's Francis Tavern. Originally it was called the Queen's Head during the British rule, but as tensions started to rise, animosity towards the crown started to gain. The colonists renamed it Francis Tavern after the owner. And in 1773, a second New York Tea Party actually happened in there. We all know about the Boston Tea Party, where colonists dumped tea off of ships in Boston Harbor to protest the new tax that the British put on tea. Again, the colonists did not like taxes on their products, stamps, tea, whatever. And so in New York, a very similar thing happened where a shipper tried to smuggle in tea to New York Harbor. They found him, brought him into Francis Tavern, and made him publicly apologize. King George III heard about this, and I quote, he said, he said if he was not happy about this, and he said that if need be, force would be used. These were fighting words, and as we know, they went on to engage in war. After that war was done, George Washington returned to Francis Tavern, and that is where he said goodbye to his officers at arms. He would come back 6 years later, when he was called upon again to lead this nation as the first president of the United States. Where he was inaugurated is where we're heading next. Why don't we go now?